This video is going to talk you step by step through how to write a conclusion, how to write the concluding paragraph of an essay, and here we call it the stack paragraph. Each letter does stand for something. So the stack paragraph for a Raisin in the Sun character essay. Your summary and your thesis. So we have STAC. The S and the T is at the beginning of your concluding paragraph, okay? The good news is you've already written a thesis. So all you need to do is go back to your introduction, go back to your ACTS paragraph, find the sentence that you highlighted in yellow. It should be at the end of the paragraph. You're just going to redo it. So here's mine in red, okay? What you need to do is you need a transition. You need the topic and the point and the focus, but not necessarily in that same order. Choose some different synonyms, changing the words and the ideas in a different order. Here's what I've come up with to sum it up. So first I had, George is motivated by appearances and the opinions of others, and his choices negatively affect Beneatha's growing independence. To sum it up, George imposes his beliefs on Beneatha, and the end result pushes Beneatha to embrace their differences and choose a different path. So it's the exact same thing. I've just used words like embrace differences, chose a different path. He imposes his beliefs. And don't be afraid to go and search for some synonyms online. Use a thesaurus. So don't just like blankly put in those words from the thesaurus. Make sure they actually make sense, okay? So the S and the T, the beginning of that concluding paragraph, we're going to start with the transition to sum it up. As you can see, there's all kinds of them. And then you're going to rewrite that thesis from your first paragraph. So pause your video and let's write that section of your stack paragraph. And when you're done, I want you to highlight it in yellow. Please pause. Okay, now that you've done that, we're going to revisit our attention getter. So we have ST, summary, thesis. We have the A, which is the attention getter, revisited. And this is going to connect your intro paragraph to your conclusion. All right, so you've already done this. Your attention getter already exists. It's the very first sentence of your essay. It might have been a quote or a fact or a statistic or a surprising statement. All you need to do is paraphrase it, reword it, refer back to it. You can add something new about it if that works. So here's what I've done. My attention getter was, Steve Jobs is quoted as saying, "Don't let the noise of others drown out your own inner voice." I've turned it into this. Although it couldn't have been easy for George's family to attain their social status in racist 1950s America, George grew to believe that all Black families would want to achieve the same status. In thinking this way, he attempts to drown out Beneatha's inner voice. You'll notice that my last sentence that's here in green is really where I'm talking about that attention getter. Mine, I kind of have to lead into it in order to get there. So when you revisit the attention getter, it may not be just one sentence. You may need a little bit more, but I want to almost have that, that's right. That's what their attention getter was. It's almost like you're making your essay come full circle. I'm sure you've read books and you've seen movies where the first scene is also the last scene, and they kind of come back around to it. And that's what you're doing in this concluding paragraph. So pause the video. I want you to go back and take a look at that attention getter. Figure out how you're going to revisit it. Write that part. When you're finished, I want you to highlight it in green. Hit pause. All right. A new part that we're adding this year to the stack paragraph is an evaluation, and I'm so excited about this part. The evaluation is going to go right after you've revisited the attention getter, and the evaluation is your opinion of this character. So what do you think about this character? If you chose Walter, what do you think about Walter? What do you think about Mama and Beneatha and Ruth, okay? Do you think that that character deserves empathy? Should I feel bad for them? Do you think that that character deserves some condemnation? Shame on you for doing what you did, okay? And boy, I have an opinion on every character. So this is where you get to put your opinion in. And I do think I used the word I one time, okay? It is a little bit longer. So here's what I think. George is a product of the environment he grew up in. His parents worked hard to earn a living and provide a good life for him. And the impact is that George is successful. Unfortunately, George is successful according to the standards set by society. Therefore, he doesn't see women as equal. Remember, it's the 1950s. Beneatha might have been the woman to open his eyes to all that women have to offer this world, but she walked away in anger. George is an evolving character whom I empathize with. 2 decades later, maybe he would have felt different about his mother, wife, and future daughters. Maybe he'd want the best for them, unlike the best he wanted for Beneatha. So this is me and my opinion, and I'm not gonna lie. This took me about 10, 15 minutes because I really had to think about George. My instinct was to be super ticked off at George and think he's annoying and he's sexist and all of this. But then I thought, gosh, I mean, like, is it really his fault? What about his parents and all they did? So it took me. That's why the evaluation can't be. You can't just say Walter deserves my empathy because Walter deserves condemnation because. I want you to really think about that character. If he was your friend, if he was in the room with you, would he be your friend? Would you feel bad for him? Why? Would you be annoyed and condemn him and say shame on you, and why? Okay. So I think this is a really cool part of this this paragraph. So I want you to stop what you're doing, pause the video, and add that evaluation. And know that this might take you a couple minutes. This isn't like a one sentence thing. Okay. When you're done with it, I want you to highlight it in blue. Hit pause. Okay, finally, we have the last sentence of the essay, the clincher statement. Not gonna lie, I think the clincher statement is one of the hardest to come up with in the entire essay. This is the very last sentence of your conclusion. It provides a final thought. It can be a call to action. It can be a why is this so important? What can the reader do? Without saying this is important because now the reader should this. You gotta come up with a way to end the topic. We don't want it to really keep going, but it can look to the future in regards to your topic. So I'm going to kind of skip down and just read to you what I have in pink because that's actually my clincher. It's important for individuals to recognize the impact they have on others. Influence is only good to the point that it doesn't squash the individual. Okay. Now remember, I've written about George. I'm actually going to read this whole thing out loud. I want you to, let's make sure it really flows well and it makes sense. So to sum it up, this is my S and my T. To sum it up, George imposes his beliefs onto Beneatha, and the end result pushes Beneatha to embrace their differences and choose a different path. Although it couldn't have been easy for George's family to attain their social status in racist 1950s America, George grew to believe that all Black families would want to achieve that same status. In thinking this way, he attempts to drown out Beneatha's inner voice. George is a product of the environment he grew up in. His parents worked hard to earn a living and provide a good life for him, and the impact is that George is successful. Unfortunately, George is successful according to the standards set by society. Therefore, he doesn't see women as equal. Beneatha might have been the woman to open his eyes to all that women have to offer this world, but she walked away in anger. George is an evolving character whom I empathize with. 2 decades later, maybe he would have felt different about his mother, wife, and future daughters. Maybe he'd want the best for them, unlike the best he wanted for Beneatha. It's important for individuals to recognize the impact they have on others. Influence is only good to the point that it doesn't squash the individual. So I'm clinching it by saying, poor George, you kind of need to watch how much you push other people because you don't want to drown out someone's voice, right? Change who they are. All right, so pause this video and I want you to add that clincher statement. This is tough, y'all. I'm not going to lie. Clincher statements are not easy. They take a lot of thought. Don't be frustrated with yourself. Take some time, write it. When you're finished, highlight it in pink, please. Pause. All right, if you've made it this far, guys, you are done with that stack paragraph. You just need to make sure you've got transitions, check your spelling, your grammar, capitalization. I know it says avoid I. I used it one time, so you just go right on ahead and use it one time. I don't want a bunch of I's all over this paragraph. And make sure you're capitalizing characters' names and spelling them correctly. All right, guys, happy writing.